Hello mythology lovers, welcome back to World of Mythology. Today's video is about the mourning of Mother Earth, Ceres, Part 1. In the island of Sicily, high up among the mountains, there was once a beautiful valley, called the Valley of Enna. It was seldom that a human being, even a shepherd, climbed so high. But the goats, sheep and sometimes wild swine being able to climb by the steepest and most slippery paths, over the roughest rocks, knew well what soft, sweet grass grew there. Not another mountain valley anywhere was quite like this one. It was never visited by any of the winds except Zephyrus, who was always mild and gentle. The grass was always green, and the flowers were always in bloom. There were shady groves on every side, and numberless fountains of sparkling water. This valley of Enna was the home of Ceres, the Earth Mother, one of the wisest of the goddesses. In fact, the valley owed its beauty to the presence of Ceres, and the wonderful vegetation which covered the whole island of Sicily was due to her influence, for she was the goddess of all that grows out of the earth, and knew the secret of the springing wheat, and the ripening fruits. She watched over the flowers, the lambs in the fields, and the young children. The springs of water, too, which came from hidden places of the earth, were hers. One day Proserpine, the little daughter of Ceres, was playing in the meadows of Enna. She, and the daughters of the valley nymphs, who were children of about her own age, had taken off their sandals, and were running about on the soft grass in their bare feet. Soon they began to gather the flowers, that grew so thick on every side. They filled their baskets. Suddenly, Proserpine saw a flower, which made her forget everything else. This flower seemed to be a strange, new kind of narcissus. It was of gigantic size. Its fragrance was so powerful, that it filled the entire island, and might be noticed even out at sea. Proserpine called to her playmates to come and see this wonderful flower, and then she noticed, for the first time, that she was alone. She had wandered and left the other children far behind. Running quickly forward to pick this strange blossom, she saw that its stalk was spotted like a snake, and feared that it might be poisonous. Still, it was far too beautiful flower to be left by itself in the meadow, and she therefore tried to pluck it. When she found that she could not break the stalk, she made a great effort to pull the whole plant up by the roots. All at once, the black soil around the plant loosened, and Proserpine heard a rumbling underneath the ground. Then, the earth suddenly opened, a great black cavern appeared, and out from its depths sprang 4 magnificent black horses, drawing a golden chariot. In the chariot sat a king with a crown on his head, but under the crown was the gloomiest face ever seen. When the strange king saw Proserpine, standing there by the flower, too frightened to run away, he checked his horses for an instant, and bending forward, snatched the poor child from the ground, and placed her on the seat by his side. Then he whipped up his horses, and drove away at a furious rate. Proserpine, still holding fast to her flowers, screamed for her mother. Helios, the sun god, saw how the gloomy-faced king had stolen Proserpine away, and Hecate, who sat nearby in her cave, heard the scream and the sound of wheels. No one else had any suspicion of what had happened. Ceres was far away, across the seas in another country, overlooking the gathering of the harvests. She heard Proserpine scream, and came rushing home across the water. She filled the valley with the sound of her calling, but no one answered to the name of Proserpine. The strange flower had disappeared. A few roses lay scattered on the grass, and near them were a child's footprints. Ceres felt sure that these were the traces of Proserpine's little bare feet, but she could not follow them far, because a herd of swine had wandered that way, and left a confusion of hoofprints behind them. Ceres could learn nothing about her daughter from the nymphs. She sent out her own messenger, the big white crane that brings the rain, but although he could fly very swiftly, and very far on his strong wings, he brought back no news of Proserpine. When it grew dark, the goddess lit 2 torches at the flaming summit of Mount Etna, and continued her search. She wandered up and down for 9 days and 9 nights. On the 10th night, when it was nearly morning, she met Hecate, who was carrying a light in her hand, as if she too were looking for something. Hecate told Ceres how she had heard Proserpine scream, and had heard the sound of wheels, but had seen nothing. Then, she went with the goddess to ask Helios, the sun god, whether he had not seen what happened that day, for the sun god travels around the whole world, and must see everything. He told Ceres that Pluto, the king of the Underworld, had stolen her daughter, and had carried her away to live with him in his dark palace. When Ceres heard this, she knew that Proserpine was lost to her, and she kept away from the other gods, and hid herself in the dark places of the earth. She liked to keep away from the Earth's people, as well as from the gods, for wherever she went, she was sure to see some happy mother with her children around her, and the sight made her feel very lonely. What happened to Proserpine? Why did Pluto abducted her? Did she ever return to Ceres? Stay tuned for the part 2. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment down below. Let's meet again in the future videos.